And welcome to a special edition, episode 30, an actual rare astronomical event, Shane.
Yeah, we're quite fortunate. It's a neat time to be looking at the sky.
Yeah.
Comet NEOWISE is here to give us a treat.
Yeah, people should, just so I'm totally clear on this, people should go out and try to look at Comet NEOWISE.
Yes.
So we're going to do this episode and then kind of sort out our other episodes for the week. But oftentimes, if you're listening to the media or if you're hearing people talk about stuff on news shows or whatever, it can be really difficult to figure out what is actually a rare astronomical event, something you should be bothered to go and try to see, and what is like a non-event. Around this time, I think we recently had a penumbral lunar eclipse. It's not an observable event. It's not really something worth getting out of bed for. This Comet NEOWISE is worth getting out of bed for. I had a lot of trouble getting up day before yesterday, very early in the morning at around 1:30 a.m. my time, and boy, was I ever glad I did. It was phenomenal, and we've got it now, I think, for the next couple weeks anyway. And yeah, have you been able to go out and take a look at it, Shane?
No, last night the conditions were not looking great, so I didn't bother. But tonight, conditions locally here are looking fantastic, so I certainly will tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And just to put the rarity of this event into context for folks, in one person's lifetime, you may get up to 10 comets that become naked eye comets, meaning they're bright enough to see without any optical aid.
Yeah.
This one has the potential to be like one of the best of those 10 comets that you might see in your lifetime. And the other part too about some of these comets being naked eye is they're not always in the hemisphere that you live in to be able to actually see them all that well. And there's always a number of factors that kind of stack up against you, and things are really looking good for this one. It is a little low for us people in the far north, but gee, if you have the opportunity, I really think you have to jump on it and see if you can catch an observation.
Yeah, I mean, so basically the big thing with this one is you can see it from the city, a comet with the tail from a city. As long as you have a really good view to the north, it's no problem. And that is definitely a rare event. So, I'll just build on what you're saying a bit. Good comets are rare, and this is arguably the best one we've had so far this century. And to my eye, anyway, I think it's the best since Hale Bopp in the late '90s. So, I mean, there's likely people who are even listening to this that may not have even been around at that point in time. And certainly lots of people may have missed those, even if they were. They could have been really young or just not into astronomy at the time. That's about when you and I get into this. But yeah, I was out the other morning looking at it, morning before yesterday, and I couldn't get over how bright it was. Now, they had said it was getting bright, and I was just fortunate that the next morning that was clear, and I was sort of able to kind of get up and get out. It was definitely the brightest. I don't know if it's still that bright, but it's probably close. And I put it around 0.9 magnitude, and then a more experienced observer I know, he said it was first magnitude. But regardless of first magnitude, stellar core nucleus of a comet is extremely bright for a comet. So, like I said, arguably the best. I think. Did you see Comet McNaught in 2007?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
You
Yeah, that was
did.
fantastic. Yeah.
People are saying that's perhaps arguably the only one that's better, but you couldn't see the comet though, the nucleus, could you? It was just the tail above the horizon. It was a very strange comet, if I recall what people said.
Well, we did get a little bit of the nucleus here, but it's it's kind of funny because I think that its altitude in the sky is very similar to Neowise. Like it's almost touching kind of the Earth, as from our perspective. It's very, very low. Or McNaught was very, very low, as is Neowise.
Mm-hmm.
And McNaught's tail was gigantic. Like it was crazy.
But it was
Um,
it was only around for like a few days or a week. It was very brief. And like where
yeah.
I was living in Ontario at the time, and there was one night that was good enough. I had a really bad flu at the time, and I just couldn't get out that night. And then that was it. We were clouded out on the several days either side, but I think it was only around for a very brief period of time. I think McNaught in 27, right?
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing with these comets, right? They're extremely unpredictable for brightness, duration, all of this kind of stuff. So when one flares up, you really just have to do it because it could disappear quickly, it could dim. Lots of things can change. So this comet just finished its closest approach with the sun, I think yesterday, actually.
Well, I think it
Um,
was July 3rd from what I read, but maybe there's a few different points at which you could say it's
okay.
at its closest. So yeah, fair
Okay.
enough.
Fair. I did read, and again, maybe correct me if I got some of this wrong here, Chris, but I think it's expected that it may brighten a little bit more over the next few days. So, for context, we're recording this July 11th. We will release this July 11th as well. So, over the next 2 or 3 days, I've heard it may brighten a little bit more, but then will start to fade after that.
Okay. All right. That I hadn't read that. I was trying to find that out because I was surprised when people were saying it was 1.5 magnitude. Um, that's reasonably bright, and I thought, well, it's pretty low down. Should still be able to see it. I was shocked when I got to the car. No dark adaptation, and I could see the comet and the tail. I was like, "Is that it? Like, am I really seeing that?" I was really, really surprised how good it was, and then I put it at zero point 0.9 magnitude, not even including the tail. So this is a pretty bright one. And although like you were saying, it's low, and certainly it is low, being like less than 10 degrees or a fist, your fist held at arm's length is 10 degrees if you kind of hold it vertically. It's lower than that, but it's not right at the horizon. So even through my 9-degree binoculars, I can just get the horizon and the comet and the tail in. And it's a spectacular view. It really is one of the best views I've had in astronomy. I think I really can't wait till you get up tomorrow morning and take a look.
Wow. Wow. So what time are you planning to head out, Chris?
Yeah. So, and I mean, I can send you the coordinates for where I'm going. Yeah, I'll get up again at like 1:30 and probably go out for the better part of an hour. But there's a really nice hill about a 10-minute drive from my house. I live at the edge of the city, as you know, and they built the new highway, and I couldn't get out there for the past few years. And I thought that the place would be trashed, but I guess I wasn't really sure exactly where they had all the construction equipment, but I'm sort of the next section over, so they never touched it. And just I got really lucky in the way they put the lights in for the highway. You can't see them from this site. It kind of the land just sits just the right way. So you're high up. You're about maybe 50 or 60 feet above the prairie. So you're at a high point. But then the land kind of undulates towards where they've done this recent work, and they've put full cutoffs. And I guess I'm just far enough away from the full cutoffs that you can't see them from there. So I was really surprised. The site is still about, a magnitude 5.8, 5.9 site, and only 10 minutes from my house. So I'm very lucky to have that.
Wow. No kidding.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can
that's
send
great.
you the details, but you're on the opposite end of town, so probably take it like half an hour to get there.
Yeah. Yeah. It might.
So yeah, it appears pretty bright. This is really nice that it survived its closest approach to the sun, and says that its a closest approach to the Earth is going to be 65 million miles to Earth on July 22nd. And so, for context, I looked it up today. Venus, which also looks very bright in the morning sky, if you kind of hang out for a little while longer, you see Venus rise. It's 113 million miles from us. And then Mars, or sorry, it's 68 million miles from us, and Mars is 113 million miles from us. So it's actually closer than both Venus and Mars by a few million miles right now. So that means it's really very much in our neighborhood of the solar system. So it's real close to us as far as this goes. Now that's still pretty far away, and at its closest, like I think Mars gets within like around 40 million miles at its opposition in October. But as far as like nearby planets, anything closer than our moon, it is generally in our neighborhood of our solar system. So it's pretty cool to have something in that close, and that's really why it appears so bright to us. And it survived the approach from the sun. But one thing that could happen, I wonder if it will break up. Like it's really brightening. Sometimes when comets get this bright this fast, they just kind of come apart at the seams, eh?
Because a lot of the brightness, especially like the growth of the tail, is due to heating from the sun, and it's melting and it's shedding a lot of its debris, which makes it unstable. So, to what we said earlier in this little podcast is they're very unpredictable. You have to just get out there and observe it while you can, because it might not be there tomorrow.
Yeah, and the name comes from the Near Earth Object Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, which is abbreviated as NEOWISE, and it was just discovered back in March. So it's near Earth. It's a near Earth object, thus NEO, and then the WISE is just the wide field part of the instrument. But it really appears to have a very bright star-like nucleus. And then to the unaided eye, you can see this 3-degree tail coming off. It's a very narrow tail. It just looks like, I don't know, it's really, really wild. Like it's a very straight, narrow tail. And then through my binoculars, now some people say they're seeing it as a 4-degree tail. I really felt like it was more closer to 5 degrees. I'm definitely getting more than 4 degrees from my little dark site here. And from my badly light polluted yard, you could even see the tail really, really well through binoculars. So I sent you a finder chart, Shane. I don't know if you saw that or not.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
okay, I just
thanks.
wondered if maybe I could ask you to tweet that out, as part of the push for this episode.
Yeah, I certainly can. I've recently retweeted some other resources for folks. One
Okay,
is just
great.
a fixed finder chart
Oh, great.
for midnight in July.
Hmm.
But if you look on July 10th, Alan Dyer, who we reference a lot, he tweeted out a dynamic link. It's stellarium-web.org. Go to our Twitter at actual astronomy. You can find it there. But if you go to this website, it's like planetarium software online. So it'll detect your location. You can change, the date, the time, various objects. But anyway, it will pinpoint where NEOWISE is for your location, and that will help you in finding it.
And if you do have access to somewhere that's reasonably dark, and you can get a really good sort of horizon shot to the north, you won't need a finder. Like, trust me, you'll see it. Like,
Just wham.
as long as it's reasonably dark. So, our city is a small city at just over 220,000 people or whatever it is. Certainly, there's some lights around, and I just drove 10 minutes from my home, which is in a subdivision near the edge of the city, but not quite at the edge of the city anymore. And I get it no problem without any dark adaptation. And then from my backyard, I came back, and knowing where to look, I could see it under a street light. So it's
Wow.
if you do kind of not have access to pretty good skies readily at hand like I do, and you're in a city or a town or something, just find a good spot with a view to the north and try to, if there's a park or something or somewhere that's safe that you can get to when it's dark, just try to find that kind of location, and then take your binoculars with you. And really any binocular from a city is going to show it well. Now, my wife couldn't see it. I got her up because I'm like, okay, this is a rare event. It actually is a rare event to see a comet that's this bright with a tail that you can see, from the city like this. So I got her up. She was really sleepy and she couldn't focus her eyes, and that's not unusual for her. So she couldn't seem to get it without the binoculars. But with my little 7x35, she had no problem finding it and seeing it, even though she was like, I would say half asleep, maybe more like 3/4 asleep still. And yeah, with the nice low power wide field binoculars, no problem. So virtually any binoculars is going to show it from a small city. If you live in a pretty good sized city, you might need a 10x50 to tease it out. But like, we were observing it sort of between like a couple trees and the shed roof of a neighbor's back shed and that sort of thing. But that's really not very dark skies at all. We can see like 40 or 50 local street lights from where our yard is, because we don't have many trees around and it's very flat where I live. Great horizons, bad for light pollution, so got to pick your poison in the city. So anyway, yeah, that's my observation. I just really wanted to, and I know I actually hopped on the internet and sent you an email right away and said, we got to do an episode, like, let's do it now or whatever. And of course you weren't up at 3:00 in the morning like a sane person. Yeah, but I really wanted to get on and let people know they should go out and take a look. And it's good that it's going to be around. I think the way it's going to run, like you're saying, it's getting brighter. That's great to hear. My understanding is for the next 3 days till the 14th, you're really best to get up and try to look at it in the morning sky. Here, we're just getting some darkness, so we don't have much dark sky to play with, Shane and I. So we've got to get up basically in the middle of the night around 1:30, and then we got about a really good hour, and then it starts getting too bright. But I wanted to see it naked eye, and we have great horizons, and it can be nice and clear here. But for people who live further south, I see some of the online instructions say, hey, you can get up at 4 o'clock and see it. Well, if you and I get up at 4 o'clock, we'd have to put sunscreen on right now still, I think, just about.
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Yeah, I think our sunrise is before 5 o'clock anyway. I was up at 5:30 today and it was sunny out. So yeah, if you do live further south, you could probably push that a little bit further. Plus, the further south you live, you're going to lose some of that northern horizon that we have. So although it's dark here at 1:30, it's the only time we have to get up around then to see it. But we are able to see a little bit better to the north just because. So probably if you're living around 40 or 30 degrees latitude or something like that, probably best to wait until 2:30 or 3:30 to maybe go out and try to snag a look at it for sure. And then after July 14th, my understanding is it kind of moves across sort of to the left or towards the west in the evening sky. And so then you'll be able to go out as soon as it's dark and look to the north, and then start trying to take a look for it. Now, like you were saying, Shane, we don't know what's going to happen. Maybe it's going to continue to brighten for the next week or so, but you don't know. It could just fade out. It could blow up, like we've seen comets blow up before, you and I, and that's amazing. But then once they do, then you can't see them anymore. So, I think if people are going to get up and take a look, I would say get up now and start taking a look now, and then get a good view in at least, and then maybe come back next week once it's in the evening sky and try for another view.
Yeah, I'm hoping to get in as many as I can while it's bright and large. With our grasslands trip coming up in a week, that's good timing too. Hopefully we can get some good views then.
Yeah. I'm really excited for that. I was actually thinking when I sort of set my alarm the other night was that it may even fade out by the time we have our dark sky weekend. So you never know how long these are going to last for. It could be a few nights, could be a few weeks, but the clock is ticking as soon as they get this bright, because this is quite bright.
Yeah, I'm seeing a number of like seasoned observers online kind of ranking this comet amongst some of the greats, and they're putting it right up there with Hale-Bopp, which is really considered, I think, the number one comet of the century. 17P Holmes might be one that some listeners have actually seen, because that one was a little more recent.
That was in like 2006 or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember the year, but anyway, a lot of people are placing this well above 17P Holmes. So yeah, it looks like this is a great one. I've seen a number of images as well as some sketches too, where people are showing kind of like there's two parts to the tail. That there's like kind of a top and a bottom, and maybe a little bit of a void in the middle. I'm not sure if you were able to see that.
I was just using my 7x35, so I got up and I can't tell you how difficult it was to get up. Like, I find with so much light here at this time of year, I do have a lot of trouble adjusting around like this, the summer solstice and the winter solstice. So I really forced myself to go. I decided I would just take binoculars. But tomorrow I'm taking a telescope, like 100%, and going to put a little bit of power on it. Should be pretty good. Definitely worth trying. But I think as far as an instrument goes, though, I think that the telescope, I don't know. Like, I really don't think it's necessary on this one. I think you're going to have your best views through a good pair of binoculars. Like, actually, Shane, I was thinking probably your 12x36s are the ideal instrument, or very, very close to it. So a really good, maybe slightly higher power pair of binoculars. If people have 10x50s, I don't. So I'm kind of stuck with my 7 power binoculars. Or if you have a really small telescope, you want one with a wide field of view. because that tail really, to my eye, was about 4.5 degrees. Most telescopes are only going to have a field of view of a degree or two at most. So our little telescopes are kind of ideal for looking at such a thing. But even my 100 millimeter is on the small side for the field of view. So you're looking at like a 70 or 80 millimeter telescope is probably your ideal instrument for doing this observation in.
Well, I'm looking forward to getting out and taking a look tonight. My wife is also going to come out, which
Is she really?
Yeah, she's quite, that's a rarity. She's not really into it as much as you and I are, but when I told her,
you don't say.
Yeah. But when I told her about, this kind of stuff doesn't happen all that often. These are the kind of events that she enjoys, the solar eclipses, things that are kind of rare. So she's going to come out and probably be pretty sleepy tomorrow as a result.
Yeah. Well, that's great. And, that was the same. Like I kind of made that judgment call. And Rebecca, she hates getting up in the middle of the night. So I just kind of grabbed her and said, yeah, you got to see this because this is actually rare. And so she knows if I'm saying it's rare, it's rare. Like you should go out and take a look at it because I'm always sort of on about, when I hear things in the media, oh, go take a look at this event. This is a rare event or once in a however many. Like, no, that's not that rare. Or it's not really that rare because it occurs at some sort of regular interval of some sort, right? Like, this blue moon business where, well, the way they define it now is you get 1 or 2 or 3 or something like that every year. It's not really that rare. You wait around for a few months and you're going to have one. You can wait around for a few years, never have a bright naked eye comet. You can wait around for a few decades and never see one again this bright. So this is actually a truly rare event.
Yeah. We can't say that enough times, I suppose. I'm really excited for this. I really enjoy looking at comets. I've seen a few in my observing lifetime. McNaught was awesome. P. Holmes was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
P. Holmes was the one that went sort of like a fuzzy, like it was quite large, like about the size, I think, of a full moon, but it was just like a big fuzzball. If I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was very strange because it wasn't something you could really see much before, and then it kind of just sort of blew itself apart and just made itself larger and larger in a very circular pattern, and then eventually it was just it just diffused out.
Yeah, it didn't have a tail, which most comets do.
Yeah, they get bright enough to see naked eye. You can usually see some sort of tail, but with that one, that was very, very strange. So, but it's no more.
No, that's right. So I'm definitely heading out tonight. I have to work most of the week, but I think even if there's a good night during the week, I might go to work a little tired and make up for it with some coffee or something like that, just to get as many observations in as I can.
Yeah, good stuff. Well, this is just sort of meant to be an extra episode. Do you have anything else to add other than the fact that people should really go out and take a look at this?
No, that's all I have, Chris.
All right, excellent. Well, thanks so much for joining me on such short notice, and hopefully people will go out and take a look at Comet NEOWISE 2020, and really should enjoy those views if you can get to a dark site. If not, grab your binoculars and scan that northern horizon. You'll be in for a real treat when you see that comet tail. Just an awesome experience.
Yeah. Thanks, Chris, and thanks everybody for listening.